that thing paid 150 grand to win this year too. So it would have been cool to win it, to say the least.
Let's say you've mentioned the track record at Eldora. Do you have any other favorite racing memories?
Yeah, I got a handful actually. A lot of people don't know this, but I'm sure you guys both heard. You've heard of Freddie Smith, right? The old dirt late model guy. Freddie Smith has won the Dream one. I think you may have won the inaugural Dream 100 at Eldora. But he's won the Dirt Track World Championship 5 times. He was a who's who, through the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. But one of my I got asked to drive the K&L Rumley 6 car at the Blue Gray 100 one year, which is the car that Davenport, dominated in 2015. Won, I don't know, $600,000 in big races. But I drove that car in 2009. I got asked to drive it. And in that race at the Blue Gray 100, since I was driving that car, we put Freddie Smith in my car to run the Blue Gray. And it was one of his last races. So, that memory always sticks out to me, lining up beside Freddie and looking over at him. And he was in my race car while I was driving the 6 car. And, just being able to say that one of the greats drove my car while I was driving another one. And, that 6 car is prestigious too. So, being able to look back and say that happened and then line up beside and race Freddie, that was a really cool moment. And like I said, it's just, there's a bunch of them like that, man. I remember the first time I lined up beside Scott Bloomquist, I know for a fact that I blew the tires off of it on the start just because I was there for about the first 4 or 5 years I raced against Scott, when I really got to the level where I could compete with him and naturally not win anything like he did, but I would be able to run with him around home. If there was anybody that I was going to race hard or race harder than everybody else, and it's a major compliment to Scott, because if you win a race, you want the best guy to finish second. And if Bloomquist finishes second, that's like best case scenario. So, I remember the first time I lined up with him. I remember the first time I ever outrun him. So it's definitely pretty cool,
Being able to look over and see a legend driving your car, and then just a few years later, you're actually kind of working closely with the legends. It sounds like, I know that last summer, mid-season, you made a chassis change over to the sweet Bloomquist chassis, correct?
Yes, sir, we sure did.
$1 million. And I know that you spent quite a bit of time at Bloomquist's shop working on that, building that car, right?
Yeah, we did. We really got, really close with Scott and Cody Mallory, and, just kind of worked out a deal where we built them up there. And actually, like I was telling you before, that what I've seen different with me at Eldora is the experience. And anytime you have an opportunity to work with a guy who has the experience that Scott does, and Cody, and basically anybody of that caliber, we had to jump right on it, and that's what we did last summer.
So you guys made that change the month before the Dirt Million, brought the car to Ohio, and that was your first race in a brand new chassis. And I thought that day when you came into town, and I still think today, that's a huge change to make before the Dirt Million. But there was some reasoning behind that, right? There was plans to race it earlier.
Yeah, we had every intention of trying to get it done in July, and just everything on that car is just so different than what we have ran before, and we had to wait for parts, and just building it took time, and took a little bit longer than we wanted, but naturally we had committed to coming to the Dirt Million, and we had some sponsors that wanted us to come, so I didn't want to break it out there, because that's not really anytime you break out a new car, especially one that you don't know anything about, it's not really easy to probably pick one of the top 5 big races of the year. and it definitely showed, when I drove down in the corner. And a lot of people don't know this, but Bloomquist is in his cars. The brake pedal is actually all the way on the left, and the clutch is in the middle. So it's completely opposite of what your typical street car or any other dirt late model is, as far as where your brake pedal is. So I wasn't used to that, and when I went out there and qualified, I stabbed the clutch instead of the brake, and dug us a hole deep, which, we dug out of it both nights and made the show. But yeah, we had every intention of trying to go test, practice, at least race that car, but it just didn't get done until that. I think that race started on Friday. We got it done that Friday about 5 p.m. So it was it was a rush. We got it done.
So talking about the Dirt Million, when they announced the whole idea behind the Dirt Million, how did that kind of change the game for you?
Oh, it was huge. Anytime the 100,000 win races are huge in general, and then you have a promoter that's willing to go out there and say, hey, I want to do something even bigger. I want to pay more money. And even though, there's only be one person that wins it, the fact that we're even getting to compete for that kind of money, and then that whole idea and getting the fans involved with it. The sport of dirt track racing, a lot of people don't realize, they're part of the reason what makes this sport so special is the fans. So getting the fans involved is everything. And that's part of what this deal is, just getting the fans involved with the drivers. And I'll be honest with you, the whole idea has really kind of changed a lot of things. I don't think, when you have the option to go on the website and buy a tire for a driver, or buy fuel for a driver, I think fans now realize, like, they may not have knew before, but tires are $150. Fuel drums are $585, and they see the cost of all this stuff, and I just think the sport in general, though, what makes it so special is the fans feel like they can relate to the drivers, and they know the drivers, and they're tangible. And I really think that this has been one of those events that kind of have brought the fans even closer to the drivers, which has been great for the sport. And it's just one of those things where anytime somebody comes up with an idea like this and actually puts it into motion, has a great first year, we all got to support it. And that's the reason why we went last year, even with a brand new car.
So if you're not familiar with the format of the Dirt Million, there's a website set up, dirtmillion.com, for this event that's coming up August 22nd, 23rd, 24th at Mansfield Motor Speedway. It's a Lucas Oil late model sanctioned event. And the fans, basically, the fan participation through the website is what dictates the payout. You have the opportunity to specifically sponsor a driver. As Chris just mentioned, you can buy fuel, tires, you can pay their pit pass, and support your favorite driver through the website, as well as buy tickets to the event. And the more support a driver gets, the more points they get. They could win provisionals, they could win a guaranteed spot through that point system to make it into the feature. So having said that, Chris, you got the opportunity here. send your fans, or the fans who don't know you, to dirtmillion.com and look for Chris Ferguson. And what's your wish list? What do you guys need?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, anything on that list you can do for us. So there's plenty of stuff on there. And I'll just be honest with the fans and with you guys. We typically take anywhere from 15 to 20 tires. So, the tire deal is always good. And then, it's just go on there, go to dirtmillion.com, and you can, even when you buy your passes or you're camping, it'll benefit the driver. So just, put my name in there, and I'll make out good, and hopefully get some more points.
Yeah, and you guys you're what is it, about 800 miles from Charlotte to Mansfield, Ohio, something like that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you guys are a family-owned team and traveling a lot, correct?
Yes, sir. We do. We, my dad actually owns a team, and I'm very fortunate. I do have a handful of sponsors who do a lot for us. So we're lucky to, like I told you before, every year we build our team up a little bit more, and you know, anything helps. There's no question about it. And even, you know, not just me, but all these dirt late model guys, we all give, you know, and we all give a lot and give up time and spend a lot of money. So anything helps for a fact.
Jacob, did you have anything else you want to ask before we wrap it up here?
Yeah, so some people will say Ohio can be sprint car country. Some people will say it's late model. But obviously there's a great mix of both, because you have, I think I counted at least 5 of like the crown jewel events in Ohio, between like the Kings World, Dirt Million, World 100, the Dream, and Sprint Car World Championship. So what kind of makes racing in Ohio special?
I think a lot of it just has to do with a lot of the history there, and in my opinion, you know, the history behind Eldora, you know, the history with the Dirt Track World Championship in Portsmouth, and then also the racetracks are just so racy up there. You go to Eldora and it's five grooves wide. You know, we go to Atomic. You know, I've been to Atomic, and it's, you know, it's gotten rough a few times, but it's still 4 or 5 grooves wide. Same thing with Mansfield. You know, we were 3 wide last year. Bobby's up on the fence and Earl's on the bottom. You know, if you build a track, or if you have a track, and you have a good facility, and you have a major event that's just, the fans love it, and then you provide great racing, the fans will come. And I truly believe that that's been, you know, rooted into Ohio racing for a long time. And that's why guys like myself and Chris Madden, Davenport, you know, the guys from around the Southeast, we've always enjoyed going up there racing, because number one, you know, we knew we could go up there and be able to race and compete and have tracks that are fun to race on, and not just fun to race on, but pay good and have great events.
As I've told you before, I told you at the track a couple of times, we always appreciate it when you guys come up here and you know, participate in these races, because it continues to bring the fans to the track, and it's all about the show. And you guys are the showmen, even though you're investing yourselves and your money in it, and you're racing for that. But it's for us, it wouldn't occur if it weren't for you, if you weren't making the trip. So we appreciate that.
We appreciate it too, man.
One of the things I wanted to mention is that to the Ohio fans that are listening, when you're at the Dirt Million, or you're at Eldora or any of these tracks at Portsmouth and Ferguson, Fergy Time is in town, stop by the trailer and make sure you say hi, because you can look at the social media, you can see the pictures. One of the most fan-friendly drivers out there, and I'm not saying other drivers aren't fan-friendly, but it's clear that the fans are special to you, man, and I know there's a lot of them that appreciate that. So
yeah, no doubt.
Stop by and say hi to Chris Ferguson, and get to know a driver from the South that comes to Ohio every year. So, Chris, you got anything else you wanna share with us before we part ways here?
I definitely just want to thank you guys for having me on. You know, like I said, I love coming up to that area and racing, and you know, Jacob, I do like the sprint car stuff too. So I got a bunch of buddies. You know, shout out to Shane Stewart's always been one of my good buddies. He texts me and he congratulates me every time we run good, and deal with these guys a lot with my work naturally. So I get along with them, and there's a couple of them that we don't see eye to eye on everything, but I tell you what, there's no lack of respect. We all respect each other, and you know, even though the sprint car fans, the dirt late model fans, they're a little bit different. We all love dirt track racing, so that's the big thing about it.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what it's all about, and it's one big family. And if you ever have a rare weekend off and you feel like making the trip to Ohio to see some sprint cars, we could take you to any given weekend.
Thank y'all.
All right, Chris, we really appreciate you getting on here, and we're looking forward to seeing you at the Dirt Million.
Cool, man.